I've always wanted to speak at a bus industry event. I feel like I have things worth sharing, and I'm suitably experienced now. When getting passed over for young bus managers, which I'm too old to go to, and not making it to CPT or album events, I would be, quite frankly, sulky. But look at me now. Here I am, stood up here, absolutely terrified, in front of quite a lot of people I know of, or hopefully will know. Hoping your questions are easy and I don't bore you to sleep after last night's album fun. And the buses? Well, we dabbled in liveries in the past, and lots of you do like buses, so they are just to grab your attention whilst I start to talk about social media and making a bigger and better impact for your businesses. So let's take a look at some stats. Some that, even though I go into operators to talk about this regularly, I still find really surprising. I think the summary of these is that social media is and will continue to be a priority for all our customers, be they Gen Z, which Shane talked about yesterday, millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, or the silent generation. If you look at some of these stats, there are 53 million active social media users in the UK, which is almost 80% of the population. So that's a huge amount of people that are on there. 98% of UK users use social media on their mobile devices. Myself and Hannah, who's with me today, we've been using our mobile devices the entire time to tweet about everything that's happening with Album. The average UK user spends 110 minutes on social media per day, which I reckon is probably more time than the average person uses for exercising in a day. And out of the 45 million UK social media users, 43 million of them are on Facebook, so still a really important platform. 87% of children have got a social media profile in the UK, aged 12 to 15. I expect there's much more than that, but they're not supposed to be using it if they're under 12. And TikTok, which is a growing platform which has a lot of emotional connection, has 3.7 million active users in the UK, and it's one of the fastest growing platforms that we've seen in recent times. It has a lot of emotional content, which is really good for your marketing. So Simon Sinek, he's on TikTok. And before we think about social media content, I want to think about our brains, which is where he comes in. And I know it's not even been lunch yet, but bear with me. I am a fan of keeping it really straightforward. One of my favourite exercises to do with new clients before writing anything about them or doing any of their content is to understand their why. Some of you will be familiar with Simon Sinek and the Golden Circle and his book Start With Why, which has got a few variations. There are a few in the room, in fact, who I've worked this with, including the Album team themselves, who we plan to repeat that exercise. Now we've got Tony on board. What I like about this thought process is it's really obvious and simple once it clicks. 95% of our thinking happens in the unconscious brain. You think, or I think, those Adidas trainers are going to make me feel great when I'm running. I like the brand, I like their ethics. They've got great environmental policies. It says on the inside of the shoes that they're made with ocean plastic. They're going to make me great. I feel great about wearing these. Then, of course, I have to rationalise it. But do trainers have to have a budget? And the second quote up here, which when I was writing it, I felt quite challenging myself. People don't want information, they want faith in you, faith in your story. A lot of feeds that I see in bus operators and in other industries have information overload. And I know as operators we use social media to provide service information, but I do think we need a balance. A belief that you are more than the diversions and disruptions that I can see. After all, people buy people. And a good way to improve your social following, reach and engagement is to get emotional. Be more human, and humans are empathetic creatures. So let's get emotional today. Ultimately, no matter how logical you think that you are, the truth is that we all make decisions based on our emotions. Our first impressions form in a fraction of a second, which means we don't have time to logically think about things before we decide how we feel about them. If companies want to appeal to their audience's reptilian brains, then they'll need to find ways of reaching out to the part of the brain that thrives on emotions and gut instinct. We all have that feeling, don't we? We get that gut instinct feeling about something, and it does influence our decisions. At the end of the day, emotion is the glue that binds brands and customers together. If it wasn't for the emotional appeal in marketing today, we'd all have a much harder time making purchasing decisions, whether we were investing in a new marketing software tool or buying a sandwich at lunch. As customers become more focused on the importance of their relationships in buying decisions, people from all backgrounds have begun to align themselves with brands that reflect their personal values and speak to their emotions. On doing one why workshop with a client, there was one person who was completely and utterly aligned to Apple. There was nothing you could say to him that would make it. He had every Apple product in his house that you could possibly want. He knew they were more expensive, but he felt that the brand spoke to him, and that was all he wanted. There was not anything else. He even had an Apple TV, everything. So he'd aligned himself fully to that brand. He's not here today, so it's all right to talk about him. If you can add emotional marketing campaigns to your strategies, you could benefit from patronage growth and happier long-term customers. So isn't it worth a try? So I'm going to just talk a little bit about emotions, and then I want you to tell me how you're feeling. According to some studies, there are just 4 basic emotions: happy and sad, afraid or surprised, angry and disgusted. Obviously, there's spectrums underneath here that you can flow through, and much like a colour wheel has different variations of a colour. So take a moment now, think about how you're feeling. Remember, emotions aren't exactly how your body's feeling, they're more descriptive of your state of mind. Right now, it's just 11:30ish. As I stand here, I'm tempted to say that I'm feeling the heat in this room. And my emotion is still somewhat nervous, although it is bordering on reaching into excited to talk to you. Emotions are like the colours. Few defined concepts, they all exist on a spectrum. One tiny change can lead to a different kind of happy, a different kind of sad, a different kind of angry. So, I want to challenge you to tell me how you're feeling right now. I've shared with you how I feel. So, in the interest of being emotionally connected, how is everyone feeling?
Perhaps, Ian, how are you feeling right now?
Hungry.
That's fair enough. What about you, sir?
Happy.
Why are you happy?
I'm just very happy to be here.
Surrounded by all these lovely people and this presentation. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's the great presentation that's doing that.
That's
happiness.
exactly
That's what it is.
How do you feel?
Excited.
About?
Finally being face to face with people again.
Yeah.
Great, good answer.
It was a great answer.
And you, sir?
I'm very happy.
You're very happy. We've got such a happy band
got
here,
happy
haven't we?
people.
It's so nice. Yes.
We have got happy people.
Oh, what was that? Who said what? It's down to Lionel Vinyl. Oh, don't say that. It's down to Claire.
Thank you for sharing with me how you're feeling. So what I want to do now is look at some social media posts. I'm trying to bring together the emotions and bring in the content that you're writing. So a nice emotion to start off with is happiness, which is quite good because a lot of you seem to be quite happy in the room. So if we look at some examples of positive, happy content. Now, this might be obvious to you, but positive, happy content gets shared faster and wider than sad content. It offers an escape from reality. Posting positivity on social media has a motivating effect on others to do the same. Not just to feel happier, but to spread the happiness. When it comes to your social media campaigns, you can use happiness not just to motivate people in the immediate, but to condition them to be more likely to share in the long term. You are getting them connected to you and your brand. Here we can see Weetabix with their beans on Weetabix post. I don't know whether any of you have seen this, but it was a very good post. A very simple idea that evoked such an emotional response that it went viral. Loads of other brands got in on it, which was brilliant and amusing to watch. And I'm not sure how they did on their sales afterwards, but I do know that it reminded me that I do quite like having Weetabix in the cupboard, minus the beans. Something I'm not sure I'd have noticed if I was scrolling my feed and it had just been simply a picture of a box of Weetabix and saying, Weetabix is great, buy it. Also, you can see here some examples from our industry. Blackpool always do a fantastic April Fool's post, and this one was great this year as well and very well received. Their customers engage with this brilliantly. And we've also got an example here from Optibus, one of the suppliers to our industry. If you get a chance, hop on their Facebook page and have a look. It's a cracking video based on the I Will Survive song by Gloria Gaynor. I watched it far too many times in preparing this presentation. So evoking sadness can make an impact when done in the right way. So it's not necessary to think of happiness and sadness as being things, well, I'll use this one, but I'll not use sadness. We've talked about positive messages. They're more compelling than negative ones. But while simply making people sad, which you don't really want to do, might not help, there are other feelings associated with sadness: longing, frustration, and nostalgia. They're all negative emotions, but they are motivating. They motivate people into action. Our brains are programmed to forget the negatives over time, which is what makes this call to the past in using nostalgic posts so powerful. The future is unknown and scary, but the past is certain and safe. We know we survived the past. We don't know if we'll survive the future. These Throwback Thursday posts are a great way to evoke nostalgia. You can see examples there from Nottingham City Transport and Lothian Bus. Here we have an example of a more negative emotion. Anger and fear are powerful emotions, so trigger them wisely. Not all motivating emotions are positive ones. Anger is incredibly motivating and powerfully negative. As such, it can be used effectively, but it must be used with great caution. Outrage, and I think most of you in the room will be aware of this, is becoming a real problem on the internet. Indeed, outrage is proving to be addictive, you might say. The problem with outrage is that people can express it to earn social points, and they can do this very easily on Twitter and Facebook and all of the channels. I do think we get a lot of more ranting on Twitter, though. And they can do this without taking any action to improve the situation. But here we see an example from Diamond Bus. There's been vandalism to a vehicle, then we can see all of the customer responses, as you can see up there. Now, in this case, the response is not about these customers earning social points. It is about supporting the operator. So even though the post looks negative, and you wouldn't want to have a lot of these because you may feel like it makes the bus look not safe, but if you can do your post in a balanced way and people will support you, there's no reason not to use anger and fear and more negative posts in your social media. Now, I won't go through, you'll be pleased to know, I won't go through all the emotions that there are on the spectrum because I'll be here all week. But this is a final example, and this is about making people feel good. Informing customers about positive benefits makes them feel good about their choices. McDonald's did a campaign in 2015 to prove that their chicken was in fact chicken. It was incredibly successful, not only in engagement but in sales, and you will have seen that they've done this with a number of other products as well. There's an example here from Lothian Buses, and it's just one of many on their Facebook feed about positive environmental messaging, thanking the customer for their efforts in making a green choice, rather than them saying how good they are about having a green bus. And we see ADL here as well, celebrating Earth Day with some really positive environmental messages about buses. These are all really good feel-good features. They're making the customer feel good about themselves. And if they feel good about themselves, they feel more connected to you. So what can you do? We've talked about emotions. We've talked about how your right-hand side of your brain and your left-hand side of your brain works. But in such a busy marketing world, how can you make sure you stand out? And I know it's not easy. How many social media accounts do we manage, Hannah? We've got a few, haven't we? 10, 12, 20? We've got 20, apparently. Obviously, I only look at 12 of them. So we've got quite a few that we manage, and we can see people using all different tools and methods. And I could talk to you all day about how you can improve how you schedule your social media, how you put out the right pictures. But if your content is not emotionally connected to your customer, they won't see it. They won't engage. 99% of organic content isn't even shared. You want them to share, you want them to like, and you want them to bring people to you, be they your current customers or your future customers. And social media is an amazing platform. It's got incredible potential, but a lot of people don't make the best use they could of it, and a lot of people are actually quite scared of it, particularly in businesses. Hopefully now you've understood this range of emotion that can be used with the different social media effects. You're in a better position to understand how to use emotion to create effective social media marketing, especially the positive effect of social media, which is one of the easier ones to do, I think. And then remember the 80-20 rule. 80% of your posts should inform, educate, or entertain your audience, which we've seen in some of the post examples today. And 20% can directly promote your brand. So often when I go in to speak to operators, There's a lot on their feeds that is showing a lot of disruption and a lot of service, and then there's buy this ticket. These are all fine to have, but then you've got to have all of the bits in between that start to connect with the customer. So don't just be putting out, buy the ticket, this is what bus service we've got on offer. It has to be a balance. Pretty much how you would talk to somebody about your business if you were sat having a pint or a glass of lemonade. Now, I want you to imagine you are your customer, whoever that might be, if you're an operator or a supplier or otherwise, and you see your business post or you scroll your Twitter feed. Take a look now, hop on your feeds. How does your customer feel? Would anyone like to share what they see on their social media feeds and what they feel about it, or what their customer would feel about it? This is a chance for you to get your phones out without being told off. So make sure you are looking at your feeds, though. No messaging.
I can see a few people are scrolling there.
Rummage in.
Shall we go and see? So who's going to share something with us about their views on their... Jane, you must be very well acquainted, of course, with Blackpool Transport's social media feed. You've got it up there. How does it make you feel at the moment, what you're seeing?
It makes me feel really proud, very proud, and I feel as though my team in particular, I'm looking at something that's been said about Shane Grindy, the team are fantastic. So yeah, proud.
Good. What about you?
Well, I'm looking at BTS's feed right now, and I'm looking at the improvements that have been made since Jane took over, and they are amazing. Absolutely amazing. They went from having basically no social media presence, no marketing presence online, and now they're great, and they really interact with people, so it's great to see.
And it isn't just a list of roadworks?
No, absolutely not. There are lots of positive things going on at BTS. Jane's done an amazing job.
Okay. Anybody else? Oh, hello, Claire. Hang on. Oh, I'm terribly sorry for standing on you.
Save you walking too far, Dave. Yeah, I'm looking at bus users' feed, where we're using a common hashtag of #ILoveMyBus, where we talk about good stuff. And the thing that we've just retweeted is a Better by Bus message, which is by using the bus instead of the car, you could be saving around £5 a day on fuel and parking costs.
In these current times, that is absolutely critical to people, isn't it? Any idea that they're going to save money somewhere? Yeah. Anybody else want to join us? Or are you maybe a little bit embarrassed about what you're seeing when you've gone onto your feed? If you are, I won't ask you, don't worry. Anybody else?
Well, I think it's important not to be embarrassed. We're all trying to do our best, aren't we? And we don't know whether it's the right thing to do or not. So I've scrolled a lot of all of your feeds that are here today, and there's some that are great, there's some that are information notice boards, and there's some that are a balance in between. And nothing ever needs to stay the same. There's always improvements to be made. So it's nothing to be embarrassed about, but it is something that you should consider if you want to be emotionally connected with your customer, and you want to keep moving forward as well.
Yeah. So maybe keep it to yourself, but have a think about
how you might, have a think about what it looks like and how it makes people feel. Okay. So in summary, sell your emotions first and save all the technical details for later. And by later, I don't mean that you're never going to tell the customer about them. But if you add that headline, you add that image, and that's what pulls them in first, you can do the rest of it later. Think about the amount of media that we're consuming. Are they going to see your post if it doesn't engage with them emotionally? Probably not. People want to buy into a business that believes the same thing as them. I think we've established how important those emotional connections are, and in particular for Gen Z customers, as Shane told us yesterday. They expect more connection, and they're your future, so you absolutely need to give it to them. And think about your emotional connections and what a person wants at that time. There are two types of people. Those that can see the things they want, and those that can see the things stopping them get what they want. And at any one time, a person can change between these two things. I didn't want to come here today. I've spent the last 4 weeks mainly hiding under a rock. You see, I fell off my bike, and no, I wasn't wearing a helmet, and yes, I do have one now. I smashed up my face. It was bad. It stopped me from working for around a week, and I've not stopped working since I was about 16. It meant I couldn't run the Manchester Marathon 2 weeks ago, which I trained really, really hard for, and was to be my first marathon. It stopped me being in the room on my Zoom meetings, camera off, very quiet, not very like Claire. And not only because my face was a mess, but I couldn't see past what I had lost. My marathon, my confidence, my nose. I couldn't see that I was lucky not to have gone over the bridge I was crossing, to not have a serious head injury. And I was, in fact, walking away with most things intact. My family and friends and some of my amazing clients have spent the last few weeks putting me back together. James Carney has supported me in getting me on the stage today. I decided to see the thing that I wanted, not all of the things stopping me. So I'm here talking to you about social media, emotional marketing, and not letting difficult things stop you. And I've managed to get a charity place for the London Marathon, so Manchester will just have to wait. Make all your customers see past the thing, stopping them getting what they want. Don't let the fear of a difficult conversation on a social channel stop you communicating and feeling part of your customer's circle. Feel and share the emotions, don't be scared of them. Decide now, do you want to use social media as a powerful marketing tool that it is, emotionally connect with your customers and potential customers and make them feel something about their brand, to create powerful emotional content that builds your following, or will it just be a notice board for service disruption and delay? This is one of my most favourite quotes. I've learned that people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Claire. And already questions have started coming in on my little pad, so you're going to be busy in a few moments.